He's getting a little drink. It's a warm day today in the neighborhood. What's up, guys? Craig Mack here, Liberty Bell Beekeeper. So, spring is officially begun, and our temps are slowly creeping up. We've been in the 50s for the most part, creeping into the 60s during the day, dropping into the 40s at night. Although this week we got a couple of nights below freezing. Hopefully that'll be the last of that. And it seems that way, judging by the things that are happening with plant life. The dandelions are blooming. A lot of flowering trees around here are blooming that I don't know the name of, that I've seen the bees working. I know some of my gardens. This is Golden Jubilee, and I got asters in here, and this is called Blue Glitter, and this is a bee balm. All those kind of things. Butterfly bush, my fig tree, which has started to throw some leaves out. All these things are starting to grow. Thyme, rosemary, onions, garlic, all doing real well, and really getting ready for the season. Usually I fill up the water jugs. I've had this tray out here it's been out here for several weeks, so they know this is a water supply, so they've been coming here. This is where I've just been putting frames out that have had some honey, and they're drinking the water from these things as well. So they're thirsty. They're packing it away. Brood is ramped up. Definitely seeing some started signs of swarming, some queen cups in a couple of hives. But for the most part, looks like we probably still have a week or so before we really got to worry. So I'm looking to get into doing my splits this weekend. Another gorgeous weekend coming at us. So I'm going to get all my splits done so my nukes are ready for May. But the reason I'm here actually is... The reason I'm here is actually about this picnic table. Now, it's a great table. I've used it a few times, but I hardly ever use it. So I'm going to convert it into more square footage for garden space. It's approximately 6 feet by 3 feet. I think it's a little over 3 feet. Yeah, 40 inches by just under 6 foot. Shush! He sits here and barks at the guys, my neighbors, and it drives me nuts because he's such a dick. Come on, get down. So anyway, back to the table. 6 foot by approximately 3 foot. So out front of my shop, when I first got this place, and you can kind of tell by the nature of all the junk that I have, and a lot of it's not junk, it's just life stuff, but you know, I got doors galore, and old cabinets, furniture, a lighthouse that I built, of course all my bee stuff, tool and paint cabinets, just extra material like all these old studs that I pulled out, again more doors. I got a little crazy with taking things from job sites, like doors and studs and all that, but it's actually come to benefit me long term because I've used a lot of that stuff in my bee pursuits, and it's certainly saved me a lot of money when it comes to buying material. But with one of those things that happened, a friend of mine had brought me this picnic table, which he got donated from his fishing club, and I have never used it for anything but piling junk on top of. Old lumber, pieces of stuff. They've literally been sitting there for 3 years that, you know, I have no use for that out here. That makes the front of my place look a little junky, and I'm working on cleaning everything up. But this is going to work out so I can build myself a flower box. I've got 7 2x6s here, almost 8 foot long, and that's going to be more than enough to wrap myself a frame around my picnic table so I can fill it up with soil. So that's today's project. I'm going to build another flower box. and try to get some more usable space out there for wildflowers. This year I'm planting Phacelia, so I'd like to get some more square footage of that out there, just as a little bit of something extra. And besides the fact that it benefits my bees, it just brings so much wildlife to my backyard. Birds and butterflies and toads and bumblebees and everything, wasps, everything's back there. It becomes really, really an amazing place to be in the summertime when everything's in bloom. So I want to add to that and give myself some more ability to, you know, keep some of that habitat, you know, my own little personal slice of habitat going. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So first things first, I'm going to take all the bolts out. So I'm going to take all the bolts out, unscrew the center rail, and that should, I think, be enough to free up all these boards. There might be some additional screws in there that they pinned in over time in case some of these loosened up, but we'll see. So let me get to it. So there we have it. The legs have been taken off, unbolted. And as you can see, some of this has got some rot to it around where everything was pinned together, but honestly, none of that means anything to me for what I'm using this for. This is more than fine. I'm just going to pin these together and cut them and stack them and make myself a little flower bed out of this old ass material that's not good for nothing anymore, but good enough for me. See you on the inside. So I'm going to make my cuts using my jigsaw. Now, jigsaws are great saws to have. They're reasonably inexpensive. They're pretty versatile. You could do a lot with them, but it's a saw that requires some thought and some patience because it can cut crooked. It can cut on a weird angle. It can do lots of things wrong when you're trying to make your cuts. And usually it has to do with people trying to force this machine to do its work instead of just letting it do its work. Let the blade do its work, let the weight of the machine and speed and everything do the work. All the rest of my saws are on job sites, so I'm stuck with this today, but I still don't care because it's a fine saw and it'll do exactly what I need it to do. If the blade sticks. Let me get a different blade. Now this wood is really soft, it's old, it's dry, so I don't imagine it's going to give me too much trouble with my cut, but I had to put the appropriate blade on. And there it is. Nice and straight, nice and smooth. Now you might be able to see how some of these cuts, they slant. That's a common problem with the jigsaw. It's what makes it difficult to use. That generally comes from you trying to push the blade through too fast, which I probably did, but in this instance, I don't care really all that much. It's just for this planter. I don't need a fine cut. This isn't a job where I'm cutting cabinets with a jigsaw. It is what it is. I'm not concerned about this rough cut. Some people would be concerned with it. Generally speaking, I would use a different saw. This is just the only one that I have available to me. Like I said, very useful, comes in very handy, but does have its limitations on use. So I made my first 4 cuts. Now I'll make the next 4 and then we'll come back. All right, so I got all my pieces cut, my tools assembled. For this assembly, I'm going to just use my framing nailer with 3 1/4 inch screw nails rather. And when I go to attach my liner, I'll use my upholstery stapler. If you've seen any of my other videos, you've seen that upholstery stapler before. Comes in real handy for a lot of things that I do. So let's get to work. Okay, so phase 1 complete. Pieces cut, fastened together. Now I use some 2x6 to fasten the pieces together to hold them upright. And this one I dropped below to keep it from moving anywhere off of the table. I only did that on 2 sides. I felt that was enough just to keep it from shifting. And once it gets the weight on this, I feel like I won't have to worry about it moving off of this table. A little curious about the weight capacity of these legs, but I guess we'll see. If I have to, I can always reinforce these corners with some 2x. But I feel pretty good about this table. It's really sturdy. It's a good, strong metal table. It's completely metal. Very heavy duty chairs. This was a really nice set, you know, when it was brand new, and it still is a very nice set. I almost hate to cover it over, but at the same time, I'm going to love having this extra garden bed here. And I can't wait to get it filled up. But the next portion of the build is billboard vinyl. Let me get our camera set back up in here so I can record all the action. So I'm sure you've seen other my videos. I use this billboard vinyl all the time. Now this piece isn't big enough, but basically all I'm going to do with this material is run it on the inside, up and over the top. That'll give me protection on this edge from any water, and it'll protect the inside from any moisture any more than it's going to get. And then I can give the outside a quick coat of paint with whatever it is I have laying around just to further protect this. I'm not expecting this to last forever, but I'd like to get a couple of years out of it. And if I can, I will. Let me go get a piece that's big enough and we'll do that. And there we are. So all told, I think this took me less than an hour. Now, that being said, I have the tools. I have all the materials that I needed laying around here at my disposal. So it's easy to make things happen fast when you have all the right equipment and proper planning and all your materials ready to go for you when you're ready to start your project. That goes across the board. Doesn't matter whether you're building a down and dirty, cheap, old flower bed or you're building a house. All those things in place before you get started, and your life will be much, much, much simpler and happier and much less stress. So there it is, today's project. Now, next thing will be to fill it up with dirt. I got a bunch of dirt from some of my buckets. It's pretty full with clay. I just went and got my manure and fertilized all the beds, and some of that will go into this as well. And I'll probably add some topsoil and some compost and all that other good stuff to this over the next few days to weeks until I'm ready to get this planted up, which is, you know, within the next 2 or 3 weeks. I want to be planted up. Usually I wait. I get asked sometimes about starting seeds inside. Every time I've done that, And the last 2 years I did it. I deliberately waited and planted stuff outside Mother's Day. Mother's Day is usually the day, at least here in Philly. That's like planting weekend. All the stuff I planted on Mother's Day outgrew and outlived all the stuff that got a 6-week head start. They just grow better outside, faster, stronger, better roots, better leaves, better everything. So for me, here, growing stuff inside and then transplanting outside never works as good as just waiting for May and doing your planting then. You know, you can pick up tomato plants and things like that. If you want to get 4th of July tomatoes, you're going to have to get them in the ground earlier and probably buy plants that are already started. But as for me, like I said, I like to plant from seed and start Mother's Day. So here we go. Garden's planted up. Well, not planted up, but garden's 90% of the way ready. New bed ready. I think I'm going to go ahead and support this with a little bit extra. We'll see once I start turning dirt into it, throwing dirt into it. But coat of paint, and she's ready for planting. Thanks a lot for watching, as always, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. More videos to come, as usual. And once we get into beekeeping, we'll get a whole bunch of new stuff going. So, looking forward to shooting some more video and getting things started. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Take it easy.